Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to write the equation of a circle when we are given 3 points that is on the circle. So in this problem that we have here, these are the 3 points that are on the circle. What equation would fit in such a way that these 3 points will be part of the circle? So these are the steps that we are going to do. Let's take the first step. So in the first step, we are supposed to use the general form of a circle. So going back to the general form of a circle, so it looks like this. That is x squared plus y squared plus ax plus by plus c equals 0. Now we are going to use these 3 points. This is x and y. We plug it into this general equation of a circle. So let's start with the first point, that is 1, 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and write 1 and 3 here. And then again, we are going to plug this in. Remember, this is the x and this is the y. So we plug it into the general equation of the circle. So we start with the x is 1. So I go ahead and say 1 squared plus the y is 3. So that would be 3 squared plus the a is missing. That's the one that we wanted to solve. The x is 1, so I'm just gonna go ahead and write 1 in there, and then plus the b is missing. We don't know what that is, but the y is 3, so that is a 3. Plus the c is missing. We don't know what that is, so we just keep that as letter c, and that is equal to 0. Now, we can simplify this by combining these constants that we have here. So I can go ahead and rewrite this. That is 1 squared is 1, 3 squared is 9. So 1 plus 9 is 10. So I can go ahead and write 10. And then plus, that's 1a, or I can just go ahead and write a. And then that's a plus 3 times b is 3b. And then we have as plus c is equal to 0. So this is the simplified equation of the first point when we plug it into the general equation. Now let's have the second point right here, negative 1 and 5. So this is negative 1 and 5. So let's see what is the equation that would work for this point right here. At this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem out on your own. And when you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. So we have negative 1. So I go ahead and write negative 1 squared plus, that is a 5 squared, plus that the x here is negative 1. So that would be a times negative 1 plus our b is missing, but we have the y, which is 5. So I write 5 plus c is missing. So that is equal to 0. So we can simplify this to be, so first we have negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. 5 times 5 is 25. So 1 plus 5 is 26. So we get a 26. And then negative 1 times a is a negative a. So I can just go ahead and write negative a. And then this is a 5b, because 5 times b is 5b, plus c equals 0. Did you get the same answer as this? Good. Perfect. Now let's move on to the third point, which is negative 1 and 1. At this time, I would encourage you to pause this video and try this problem on your own. And when you're done, unpause it and check your answer. Okay, so we go over the problem here. So first, we have, this is again our x, and this is our y. The same thing for this. That's x and y. So we go ahead and write negative 1 squared plus the y is 1 squared plus, that is a, the x is negative 1. And then we have a b plus b is missing, and then we have a y, which is 1 plus c. So then that is equal to 0. So then we can go ahead and simplify this. That is negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. 1 times 1 is a positive 1. So 1 plus 1 is a 2. So I write 2 here. That is a negative 1 times a is a negative 1a, or I can just go ahead and write negative a, plus just 1b, or I can go ahead and write b, plus c equals 0. Did you get the same answer as this? Good. Perfect. Now these three equations that we have here are the ones that we are gonna need in order that we can come up with an equation for this circle that will have these 3 points. Again, these three equations were derived from the general form of a circle where we plugged in each of these points that are given to us. Okay, so we are going to, again, we're going to use this. So let's move on to the second step here. So I have written here the equations for the three equations that we got from the first step. So we are going to need these in order that we can solve for the circle. So for the second step, we're supposed to solve for A, B, and C, because once we have A, B, and C, we can just go ahead and plug it into A, B, and C here, and we're able to come up with the equation of the circle. So given the 3 points. So in this case that we have here, we in order that we can solve for A, B, and C, we are going to use, again, these three equations that we have here. First is we are going to subtract the first two equations. So we're going to subtract these two equations in order that we can eliminate one of the variables. So we're going to subtract this. So I'm going to rewrite it over here. So again, I am using these two equations and I am subtracting them. So that would be 10 plus A plus 3B plus C equals 0, and I am going to subtract it with a second, which is minus 26 minus A plus 5B plus C equals 0. And then from here, I will subtract this. So this is how we subtract these two equations. So 10 minus 26 is a negative 16. We have a positive A minus negative A is a 2A, so plus 2A. And then we have 3 minus 5B is a negative 2B. And then C minus a C is 0, so these two gets crossed out. So we are left with these equations already over here, and that is equal to 0 because we have a C minus C is 0. Now we are going to keep this for now, and we are going to use the we're gonna use the second and the third. So I'm gonna show the second problem right here. So I will use the second and third this time. We are going to still subtract them. I'm gonna show the work up here. I will, again, what we did, I was using blue here, so I subtracted the first two. Now this time around, I will subtract these two. So I will write first the 26 minus A plus 5B plus C equals 0. So that's the one that I got. That's the second equation. The third equation is, again, we always remember that this should be a minus. That's gonna be 2 minus A plus B plus C equals 0. And then I am going to subtract each one of them. So 26 minus 2 is 24. Negative A minus A is 0. So we can cross this out. So this is gone. Negative A minus negative A is 0. So we cross that out. Then we move on to the next one here. 5 minus 1 is 4. And then we got a B, so plus 4B. And then C minus C is 0. So we cross that out. And this is equal to 0. Because you have a 0 minus 0 is just 0. So from here, we can solve for B. So we are going to subtract 24 from both sides. So minus 24 minus 24. So then we are left with, we can cross this out. We're left with 4B is equal to negative 24. We want to solve for B. So then we are going to divide both sides by 4. Divide this by 4. So then our B is negative 6. And that's the number that would go into this equation over here. But for now, we will we're still missing A and C. So we need to we need to solve A and C. Now, since we already have a B, we are going to use the equation that we got here. We plug this B into here so that we can solve for A. Now, others are going to say, can we use this equation right here? So we just plug in the B here. It's not going to work because we have both A and C are missing. So it's going to be this equation. So after you did this part, you go back and use this equation that we got here. We plug in the value of B, which is 6. So I'm gonna show the work in here. So I will copy the same equation right here. So I'm gonna write that equation over here. So but then we have negative 16 plus 2a minus 2 times the B that we got equals 0. So the B that we got here is negative 6. So I'm going to write negative 6. So then I'll just do the arithmetic here. So first we have a negative 16 plus 2a. Negative 2 times negative 6 is a positive 12 is equal to 0. So we're going to combine like terms. The negative 16 and plus 12. That would be a negative 4. So I go ahead and write 2a minus 4 is equal to 0. Again, I got the negative 4 because you have negative 16 plus 12 is a negative 4. So then I will add 4 from both sides plus 4 here. So then we can cross the 4 out. So I'll cross this out. So we're left with 2a is equal to 4. So then from here, we are going to divide both sides by 2 because we want a. So divide this by 2, divide this by 2. So then our a, therefore, is, I'm just going to write that over here. So my a is 2. So that's the a that we got. Now, we can use one of the original equations here. It doesn't matter. From here, we can already solve for C. So I'll move this up here. We're going to use that again in a little bit. So I will solve for C. We use one of these equations here. So I'll put that up here. I will show the work to find for C. So in this problem, let's just use the first equation that we have here. So let's use the first equation to solve for A. You can't use this because you don't have a C. So here you don't have a C also, but we got the B. So it's only this one. So we already have an A. So we plug this A into this, and we plug this B into this, and the C is missing, and we can go from there. So the equation that we have here is 10 plus A plus 3b plus c equals 0. So we rewrite it. 10 plus our a is 2. So I put in 2. That's the one that we got here. So a is 2 plus 3 times our b is negative 6. So that's the one that we got here. And then that's a plus c, which is missing, is equal to 0. So let's do the arithmetic here. So that would be 10 plus 2 is 12. And then this is negative 18 plus c equals 0. So 12 minus 18 is a negative 6 plus c equals 0. So we add 6 from both sides plus 6 here so that we are left with c is equal to positive 6. So this is our c right here. So from here, we can therefore say that, so let me put that in here. So we can therefore plug those A, B, and C into the equation. So the equation would come out to be x squared plus y squared. The A is 2, so I go ahead and write plus 2x. And then the B is negative 6, so I go ahead and write negative 6y. And then the c is a 6, so that would be a plus 6 equals 0. This is the general equation of the circle. So I'm just going to label this as the general equation. Now, how do we find the graphing form or the standard form? Now, we are going to use, we complete the square in order that we can get the graphing form. There's another video on how to change the general form of a circle to graphing form. We did that in the previous video, and we're going to use that over here. So what we do in order that we can change this to its graphing form or standard form, we group together all the x's and we add blanks. So I put the x's in one group here, so that is x squared, and then we have a plus 2x plus blank every time, and that is plus, then I group together all the y's, so that is y squared minus 6y, and then we are going to add a blank, and then this constant will go to the it has to go to the right side. So I subtract 6 and subtract 6 here, so that should be gone. So that should be equal to negative 6. So 0 minus 6 is a negative 6. So pretty much like you move the constant to the right side of the equation. It's a negative 6. Now this time around, the numbers that we put into the, by the way, we have to add 2 blanks here as well. So that's a plus blank plus blank. So there are 2 blanks that we add in there. So what's gonna happen here? What do we put into the blank? So first, we are going to take half of the middle term. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and then we square it. 1 squared is 1, and that's the number that we put in here. So that's 1. So I add 1 also on the other side. And then we move on to the other one. That's the middle term. So negative 6 divided by 2 equals negative 3. So then negative 3 squared is equal to positive 9. And that's the number that we write here. So that's plus 9. And I also add 9 on the other side. So that's a 9 right there. So I added 9 on the other blanks right here. So the next thing that we do is we simplify this. So first, we remember that we can simplify this since this is a perfect square trinomial. It's actually this number right here. So that's a trick. So this would come out x, and then this number inside the parentheses is a plus 1 squared plus, we have a y, and then the number that we write here is this number that is inside the parentheses. So minus 3 squared is equal to, we have negative 6 plus 1 plus 9. So that would be a 4. So this comes out to be 4. So pretty much this is the standard form or the graphing form of the circle. So in this circle, our center is gonna be negative 1, because again, we switch and switch. So negative 1 and positive 3. And then the radius here is 2. So let's see if this graph or if this equation satisfy the ones that we have in the first problem here. So let's take this first problem. Let's put the dots first. So it says that the 3 dots are located on 1, 3. So 1 and 3, that's the first dot. 1 and 3. The second dot is negative 1 and 5. So negative 1 and positive 5. So it's gonna be up here. So this is the second dot, negative 1, 5. The third dot is negative 1, 1. So negative 1 and 1, so it's going to be here. So when we draw the circle, these 3 dots should be part of the circle. So what I did was I graphed it. So I graphed those 3 dots. And let's draw the circle using the graphing form that we got from this step right here. So let's see, how should that look like? So again, we got those 3 dots. So the center of the circle is negative 1 and 3. So negative 1 and 3, that's the center of the circle. And then the radius is 2. So we go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's going to be here. So that means this is the circle. And as you can see on this problem here, the 3 dots are actually part of the circle. The blue circle, it covers all the 3 dots. The 3 dots are part of the circle. So in that problem right there, we were given the points. This is the standard form or the graphing form of the circle, and this is the general form of the circle. That's it. If you find this video helpful, hit like and subscribe for more math videos. See ya!